Virya is not just about the science and the philosophy of the cosmos, it is also about learning, about education. Hence why today I wanted to make a video on some of the science of learning. You will see more of these facecam videos along my normal immersive learning videos from time to time, where I will just sit down and talk about some very interesting things I've learned about learning, as well as the school system in general, how the school system fails students and what potential solutions they are to remediate those issues. There are many tools out there that allow us to discover our type of intelligence or what learning style is the best for us, whether we are a more visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or reading and writing learner. Some of these tools include the 8 Intelligences by Howard Gardner, the VARK test by Neil Fleming, and the Honey and Mumford Learning Style Questionnaire. All of them designed to allow you to adapt your learning methods to the way your brain functions, and as a result to provide a better learning experience. And whilst this may sound like a very sensible and attractive idea that I have personally always believed in, it may actually be more of an art than a science. Let's explore why. Now, learning preferences is a real thing, right? Some people may be better at understanding a complex concept by reading about it or by looking at visual representations of what they're learning, such as graphs, for example, rather than listening to somebody, right? That's my case personally, and I think that's the case of many people. What we are wondering is whether adapting your learning methods to your preferred learning style leads to better information retention or not. And that's when it becomes interesting, because there's actually no solid and complete study showcasing that this might be the case. And that's something I was very surprised to learn whilst reading the book Make It Stick: The Science of Successful Learning, written by 3 psychologists and researchers. In their book, they describe the learning style theory as a mere temptation to label, stereotype, and classify an individual. They referred to a 2008 review conducted by 4 cognitive psychologists who wanted to see whether the learning style theory was scientifically supported or not. For that, they divided students into groups and classes that matched their learning styles. After some time, they would be assigned to different classes that did not match their preferred learning style. Eventually, they would take a test to see whether or not they profited from receiving instructions in their preferred learning style. And the answer was no, not really. They actually found that the students learned better when the mode of instruction matched the subject being taught. For example, visual representation for geometry or verbal representation for literature. Diagnosing an individual with a specific learning style might also cause them to only stick with their own style and therefore limit themselves when it comes to learning. For example, if you're told that you are a bad auditory learner, then you might not want to listen to somebody for more than 30 seconds because you think that you cannot. And it's the same case for multiple intelligences. Like I said, the psychologist Howard Gardner came up with 8 different types of intelligence, which he presented in his book Multiple Intelligences: New Horizons. The 8 intelligences include logical and mathematical, linguistic verbal, musical, bodily kinesthetic, visual spatial, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. Now, I've always loved this theory because I believe it has a lot of beauty and truth in it, right? Intelligence cannot be defined in only one way. Our brain functions completely differently. Some people may have extremely developed linguistic skills. Others may be musical prodigies or very good at mathematics. But some psychologists argue that these should probably be called mental abilities or talents rather than intelligence. Psychologist Linda Gottfredson also argues that although Howard Gardner's theory was created to support multiple intelligences instead of one single intelligence called the general intelligence, it may actually support general intelligence more. Because it was found that every time an individual scores very highly in any of the 8 intelligences, they tend to also have a very high IQ of sometimes over 120, which means that those individuals possess a very strong general intelligence, because that's what the IQ test measures. It's also worth noting that some of the assessments and checklists used for this test are more about measuring interests rather than abilities. Now, just because this theory is not really supported by empirical science does not make it wrong. It just means that we need more study and research conducted before we start using it in schools and in the workplace. One multiple intelligence theory supported by empirical science is that of psychologist from Yale University, Robert Sternberg. See, after years of research, Robert Sternberg came up with 3 different types of intelligence. Analytical, which is used for problem solving or during school exams, for example. Creative, which is the ability to come up with new ideas and solutions. And practical, the ability to adapt to different contexts, to everyday life. For example, you can call it street smart. You notice that our genes and our environment tend to influence our type of intelligence and IQ. For example, people from the West tend to be better at analytical thinking because of schools mostly, whether people from poorer countries such as Kenya or Brazil tend to be better at practical thinking and actually score really, really poorly on traditional tests that would measure analytical thinking. Now, all of those tests should not be completely disregarded, as, like I said, they allow us to understand some aspects of ourselves, of our personality, some of our abilities, some of our interests, which can be very, very handy in everyday life. Because in my opinion, one of the most important things, if not the most important thing in life, is to understand yourself, to be connected with yourself, as this is the foundation for everything, whether it's for your professional life, your personal, social life. If you do not possess a strong foundation, you will notice some instability in some areas of your life. I hope you found this video insightful. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up and comment down below. Let me know what you thought of it and how you would personally define intelligence. You can also subscribe to my channel to show your support. I would really appreciate this. And I will see you very soon with a new video. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Mwah.